I want to welcome the one, the only, the man himself, Mr. CeeLo Green.
All right, hold on. I'm trying to get where I can see you. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I
Hello,
can see
Mr.
that's a beautiful.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. That's a beautiful painting behind you. I gotta get centered now. That's a beautiful painting behind you, man.
Thank you, thank you.
Who's the artist on that? Where's that come from?
I'm not sure actually. My wife bought it because it was just perfect for a meditation room that we have in the home. So it was just perfect.
Oh man, you have a meditation room?
I
I need
do.
one of those.
You see this? Can you show them that?
That's amazing. You got a meditation room. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Say hello.
Oh man.
Peace be unto you, Mr. Christopher.
I've got an addition for you. I think I have an addition for you that I've had this for a while and I had no idea what to use it for you. But I've got like this amazing incense holder. We've got to hook up and I've got to get it to you. I know you're outside of it. Are you in Atlanta right now?
I'm in Atlanta. Well, technically, I'm like an hour or so outside of Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm in Lawrenceville, so yeah, I feel you. So
you get it, yeah. So
yeah.
I'm out toward Fayetteville, Peachtree City.
Oh yeah. I've been down that area many times. You got a golf cart?
Yeah, I do. It's beautiful out this way. No
That's an inside joke for those who are not familiar with Peachtree City in Georgia, but everybody drives golf carts.
That's right. It's a golf cart community. Easy living, man. Easy living.
Mr. CeeLo Green, Thomas, aka Thomas Calloway, got a brand new album out. Matter of fact, CeeLo Green is Thomas Calloway. So you're kind of doing like a little bit of a Garth Brooks type of scenario where you're just going by your real name for a little bit. Is this going to be like a alternate personality that you're going to use off and on?
Well, yeah, I just had a conversation earlier today, and somebody made the reference or the comparison to Garth Brooks is Chris Gaines. Yes,
right.
No. So it's similar, yeah, but yeah. Well, I guess it kind of lends itself to that kind of space because it's essentially kind of like a country soul album. I would call it. What do you think?
Well, I've been listening to it a lot, and I think I did like my 5th or 6th full listen just today. And it's definitely a very, very different feel from your previous album. So there is a very, very distinct style and personality that you have with this album. And one of the things that I saw was obviously the album cover itself is very, very 70s soul. You were kind of going for that Al Green type of feel. And but what was really interesting to me is that there's a lot of love on this album. So there's a lot of love songs. There's a lot of romance and everything. Were you just kind of in a mode where you kind of felt like it was time to do an album like this?
Well, I've had the privilege of spending a considerable amount of time just kind of reflecting, you know what I mean, and kind of being off the grid. Being that you're familiar with Peachtree City, then there's a completely rural area of Georgia. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
I'm a country boy at heart. So Nashville being just a hop and a skip. I mean, literally a 30-minute plane ride to Nashville. We're kindred in that way. And so I got a chance to reacquaint with self and that natural resource, spending an extended amount of time under quarantine. With Thomas Calloway, the man, the person, the human being. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then having that company kept by really good and supportive, genuine energy with a wife and a son, and just kind of a hard reset of self-introspection. And doing things that are, unfortunately, they're like passe. They're like, literally, they don't exist anymore for people to just kind of sit and, play cards or listen to the radio or eat dinner together at the big dining room table. So we did a lot of that stuff, and it kind of felt like we were in a period piece. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's exactly how it comes across too. And what was interesting about it is that the production work that you did with Dan Auerbach, who is and not on top of that, but also a Nashville legend, Paul Overstreet, who has worked with. I mean, he's a country producer. He's worked with George Jones and Blake Shelton and Randy Travis, and plus on top of that, I heard that Auerbach put together a live band for you that had like a bunch of other country stars too, like. I'm looking at my notes. Dave Rowe, who was Johnny Cash's bass player and has also played with Dwight Yoakam. Bobby Wood, who was with Bobby Woods with Chris Christopherson and George Jones and Elvis Presley, and then Gene Chrisman, who was recorded with Elvis and Roy Orbison. I mean, what was your thought process? What were you thinking about? Because this was a really, really surprising production choice for me as far as who you chose to kind of sit down with you on this album.
Well, I was introduced to everyone basically after the fact, after we kind of got acclimated to the working environment, and we realized that we could share the space productively. Then Dan, maybe some weeks later said, these guys are these guys. And you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's an impressive cast of very accomplished musicians. And I believe that it garnered me the result of a very timeless, priceless, genuine article, of music, you know what I mean? Like an entire body of work. And you hear the experience in the wisdom, in every chord, So I'm not sure that it would have sounded the same otherwise. And so I have to give that credit where it's due. I have to give it to Dan, galvanizing that group of people, and making this all possible.
Yeah, what I found interesting really is that you're right on the timeless piece of it, because it's unlike anything that you had done previously. And there was a television show that's on TV quite a bit. It's called Songland. And every single artist that comes through there seems to either reside in Nashville or has been in Nashville. And it's kind of been a little bit unusual that is like the hometown for Nashville songwriters. Just for songwriters in general. And so that seems to be like the go-to spot for people that really construct songs well and kind of know. It's just, it was pretty amazing. And I really liked the outcome of this, because the first time I listened to the album, it was a little bit difficult for me, because I was expecting, I'm from Atlanta, so I've been through the whole Dungeon Family, and the Goody Mob and all that. So I don't know what I was expecting, even with your album previously with some of the pop stuff. This wasn't what I was expecting. And so I kind of had to get past that initial shock. And then after taking it in and listening to it, it really is very classic soul. And you guys did a really, really good job at really kind of communicating that through the album. So
yeah, if I could encourage the audience to expect the unexpected, the expectation will be more realistic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I am one of those chameleon type artists, because even with Heart Blanche, the last album that I released, there are, what we would like to call some throwback period pieces. Like, I did a song called Established in the 80s and stuff like that. So like, yeah. I'm kind of goofy in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of it is stylistic, but a lot of it, truly does stem from the fan that is the core of self, just fanship, of an era, of past. But it's I'm just inclined to do those things that inspire me the most. You know what I mean? Like my interpretation of these things, And I'm not really traditional, but then also I'm not trendy either. So if am the happiest median between the two, I'm just very tenacious.
Right. And I think that is very well communicated on this album for sure. Couple questions on that album. The song Thinking Out Loud. Why does it end so abruptly? I'm always caught off guard about it because every time I listen to it, it's like it stopped. Was that? And I asked about it. I think I asked your manager. I was like, was it supposed to end like that? Was it an artistic choice? What happened with that song?
Well, we definitely thought that it was cool. It's kind of got this abrupt, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Screeching halt, you know what I mean? Like, and it's sobering. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, and you realize that, it's such a dreamy album all the way through. And I mean, like, I think that's why that little break is so noticeable. We were actually talking about it, the other day. And I just said, wow, I mean, like, that ended up being so cool. So I'm glad that you noticed that.
I did. It was really cool. Another song I really love off the album is Little Mama.
Yeah.
It is the quintessential song for fathers with daughters, for sure.
That's right.
Those lyrics, well, it was Barbie dolls and dresses, birthdays and messes, a house cluttered up with toys. That was prom nights and makeup, heartache.
Prom nights and heartaches and breakups make me want to kill those boys.
That was a great line. I was like, I have to commit this. Tell me about your relationship that sparked that song. Because I know you have a son.
I have two daughters as well. I have two daughters from a previous marriage. And they're my adopted daughters.
Right, Kayla
and Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra. That's right. Yes,
You couldn't tell. They look just like me.
That's good.
Comes from hanging around each other too long, I
guess. That's always a win. That's always a win.
But yeah, no. It's we were having just general conversations about, things that were wholesome, things that were, heartwarming, it's just, I think celebrity, is skewed and, people think that we're superheroes or exempted or advantaged in some way.
Right.
But, I really, that was the whole point of naming the album, Thomas Calloway, because it was just really humane. You know what I'm saying? Like, like no frills, no shiny outfits, no fanfare, no flashing bulbs, just, a man, you know what I mean? And a simple, genuine song, and and let love rule, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you are a father and you have a daughter, you have to download the song. You need to download the album anyways, because the album is really, really good. It really latched on to me about the third listen through, and a lot of albums are like that when they kind of have a lot of things going on that you notice, the second time around, the third time around. It's a really, really good album. Love it. Again, everybody needs to go and pick it up. It's CeeLo Green is Thomas Calloway. Definitely pick that up. So I have some questions about that art about the album. First off, as you probably know, Funkatopia is a huge Prince fan base.
I see the picture of Prince back there on the wall.
There's tons back there. There's tons back there. Oh yeah.
But that's Jimmy at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually that's an artist rendition of Prince that was outside of the final concert in Atlanta. I was at both of them, and I know you were at the final concert too.
So if I'm correct, that is Jimmy at the bottom, though, right?
No, it's actually an artist rendition of Prince. It does look a little bit like Jimmy from a distance, yeah, but
it does,
yeah, but it's an artist rendition of Prince. It was good. He was an independent artist, and he was drawing pictures of my favorite subject. So I was like, I'll help you out, man.
Okay, so let's go ahead and submit our best buddy relationship right now. So, like, being that we're both big Prince fans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is he, in your opinion, the best that ever did it?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because for everything that he did, I can't think of many people that did it better.
No,
And on top of that, he collectively did everything. He
that's
was
right.
one of the best vocalists with the best ranges. He was one of the best guitar players, best piano players. He was just.
Yeah, people would argue that Jimi Hendrix was better, but I try to tell people like, you kind of have to default that to Jimmy because he was first. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
he was the greatest of all time for that time. You know what I mean? But everything that Prince adopted and then retained and then reiterated as his own, regenerated as his own. It's like nobody can touch him.
No, not it's just impossible. I mean, I
That's
see
some
all these.
stiff competition, man. You got Stevie Ray Vaughan, you got Steve Stevens. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of great guitarists.
Well, I mean, the closest person I could think that even gets remotely close would be Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
And but on the same note, obviously because of limitations, Prince is obviously the better dancer.
That's right.
but on top of that, it's also the volume of music because
He's such a great dancer.
I mean, he's been gone now for over 4 years, and they're still like dump loading dozens and dozens of brand new songs every year.
That's right.
So you were at the last show. I was at both shows as well. I was at the 7 p.m. show in the 5th row, and I was in the very, very back of the Fox Theater for his very final show. And I heard that you were at the final show and that Prince actually came backstage with you and Janelle Monáe.
Yes.
And can you tell me about what you guys discussed or anything? Because I imagine it's pretty impactful for you because this is probably one of the last times you spoke with him before he passed.
It was. I'm so. It's such a bittersweet memory. But yes, it was the last time that we spoke, and I knew that he was, under the weather, but he gave an impeccable performance. For him to have performed 2 shows in a row that night.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, the heart, of the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The sheer strength and character is such a giant for that. So usually, it would be by way of a direct invitation to something. He'd have someone reach out to me and say, Prince wants you to come here or there or whatever. So this time, we worked our own arrangements out. We didn't want to be a bother. And we watched the show. We enjoyed it thoroughly. And this is such a great story, man. Like, we were sitting where we were headed out of the side door where the valet parking was. And our driver on this evening was right in front of the door underneath the hood of the truck. And this is a brand new 2018 or whatever, SUV. He was like, something's wrong with the car. I don't know what's wrong with it. He just wait a few minutes inside. I'll take care of it. I'll call you when it's ready. So we sat there another 10 minutes or so. And he called and said, okay, we're good to go. So we were walking back out of the door. And then, Prince's security stopped us. And he said, Prince wants to see you. And I was like, wow. So now in retrospect, I knew that was, the universe creating that opportunity where we could, say our goodbyes, So when we got upstairs, nothing seemed peculiar or awkward or odd, besides him being a little flushed, like being, he just did 2 full-length shows back to back, and getting over the flu. So understandably, like he could have been just, a little tired, but he still gave us that genuine ray of, of warmth and welcome, like any other occasion. And, I got a chance to meet him with my fiance and my sister. My family got a chance to, I had met him numerous occasions, but it was their first time meeting him, You know what I'm saying? So he
Right.
was really, to make a long story short, he was really sweet, really, really welcoming, but he wasn't overspoken. You know what I mean? And I just said, well, hey, I know you. If I know you, should I be expecting you to pop up and, at some club unannounced and doing another all night jam session or something? And he was like, nah, I'm about to pop up on that plane and head on home. I said, okay, okay. Well, we're gonna get out of your way and you be well and you travel safely. And then that's when they had to do the emergency landing, and that is a God knows truth.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who know Prince is normal, because I've been, the first concert I got to see of his was Astronaut Purple, was 1999, and I saw Purple Rain three of the 5 times at the Omni in downtown Atlanta back in the day.
Wow.
So I've seen a lot of shows. I got to those 2 shows were 26th and 27th time I'd seen them, and so I kind of knew what the normal plan was for after parties. I knew that after party was not happening that night. I just, because you could kind of feel the vibe or whatever. But do you remember? Were you standing outside at all before the 10 p.m. show started? And was it just me, or was there like something in the air right before the show that was just an aura of just, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like unlike anything spiritual that I'd ever felt outside of that Fox Theater that night.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to experience that for myself, but I can attest to, a very impeccable show, because it was the first time I've ever seen him, unplugged, you know what I mean, or just him and the piano, and all of those great versions of different songs with just the piano, and how he was able to command the attention, with just the one instrument. It was masterful.
I was actually surprised that there wasn't really any effects on his piano. He stuck with pretty much straight piano and maybe some sustain, and he kept any effects to an absolute minimum to kind of make it as pure as possible. And there were so many songs that I was actually surprised that he played that I did not think was going to translate, like the Max. I was like, I was just shocked that it worked. But that's right. That's why he is who he is. But I mean, how did the process start with you even initially working with him? A lot of people saw you on the, I guess, Welcome to America tour. And I know that some people are asking, what was that like to perform with him in those particular scenarios? And how did that relationship start? Did he come and ask you, hey, I want you to come out and just perform these songs at these shows? Or how did all that start?
Well, I think chances are he probably was prompted by countless interviews and honorable mentions of his name out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
That'll do it.
And then I guess you would then, read deeper beyond the surface, and then you see the similarities. And, him being very, very meticulous, I'm sure that he then found out everything there was to know about me, and he found out that we were both Geminis, and you know what I mean, and all of the many different traits and idiosyncrasies that we share. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the reason why he spoke to me in such a personal and intimate way. And then just by chance, I bumped into him in Vegas. You know what I mean? We were in the club in Vegas, and we were sitting in the back of the club. Nobody was there. And then we walked. I can't remember her name, but she was dressed like what do you call those girls? The women that type the dialogue in the corner. It's like a stenographer.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so she was dressed like that. She had on the pencil skirt, the little white shirt with the poofy short sleeves. Right there with the little ribbon right here, and she was beautiful. It didn't make sense for her to be sitting in the back of the club like that. With that,
did she tell you that he was there?
Erotic City comes on. Next thing you know, he walks past us, and we like,
nice.
We like basically, what the hell is Prince doing in here? You know what I'm saying? And obviously, then it made sense why the beautiful young lady was over there by herself. So then he sent somebody else to come back over and get me. And I went and sat and I talked to him, and he just said that he loved Crazy. You know what I mean? He was a fan of, what we had done with, with Gnarl's Barkley. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the next time, I think he was in Vegas doing his residency at the Rio. So
Right.
I joined him. I came back to Vegas and I joined him. I performed with him there, and then I also performed with him in Madison Square Garden.
And I know that you guys are two very different types of performers. Did at any point in time did he kind of come up and kind of give you any type of choreography? I want you to stand here at this time or here at that time. Because I know he was very, very meticulous about where artists stood and where guests stood. Was anything that was a good takeaway for you from a performance perspective during those shows?
I think what was wonderful about the experience is that he gave me some relative space to call my own. And of course, I'm going to play my position alongside the master. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm humbled to be there. So like, it's nothing I need to try to overdo. You know what I mean? Like his acknowledgement of me says it all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's no need for me to be overzealous in any way.
Right, and that's understood. Is there any jam sessions or anything studio wise that you did with him that's probably sitting in the vault that we don't know about that we might expect to see at some point? Do you guys do any work together?
Yeah, and that will soon see the light of day, God willing. Yeah, I'm really excited about.
All right, you heard it. You heard him say it. He was trying to hold back. He couldn't do it. It's just one song. Is it a couple songs? What is
Nobody wants to be surprised anymore. Let me surprise you.
No, but that's a surprise right there. I have to ask if you see. That's the other thing too, is that I had heard that Kendrick Lamar, when he went to Paisley Park, I had heard that even though there's people say that visit was really, really brief, even Kendrick kind of says that, there is supposedly a few songs that Prince and Kendrick Lamar did together that stuck in that vault. And so anytime that I ever see him with another artist, especially within the walls of Paisley Park, something's going to happen at some point, and it's just going to get tucked away.
And that makes all the sense, because Kendrick is a Gemini as well.
There you go. I wasn't aware of that. Because Dave Pirner from Soul Asylum, many people don't know this, but there are 3 albums that Dave Pirner and Prince did together that's sitting in the vault. I was not even aware of that at all. So there is a Dave Pirner / Soul Asylum album with Prince, 3 of them that are sitting back there that experience different types of things. Got some feedback from the people on here. Adriana says, "Hello, Mr. Green. Loved it when I saw you with Prince on the Welcome to America tour. Woohoo, CeeLo and Prince from the vault." Sorry, see what I started? Do you see what I started? It's my bad. I'm sorry. So there's that. Yeah, that friggin' vault is just got so many amazing things in it. Where were you when you heard Prince mention you in the song Old School Company? Did somebody tell you, oh, Prince just dropped a song and you're mentioned in it, or were you blindsided by it, or did he give you a heads up?
Dude, I have Google alerts on Prince. I know everything he does, everywhere he is.
Yeah, but this is you though. He named you. He name dropped you in Old School Company.
Isn't that cool, man? Come on, man. Like,
it's great.
Think about, dude, I have sat, broke bread, laughed, loved in person so many of my idols. And that's everybody from Prince to David Bowie to Sly Stone to Little Richard. You know what I'm saying? To Lionel Richie. Dude. And they all have acknowledged me, you know what I'm saying, as an equal, you know what I mean, at the very least a hopeful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody says I smelled good, and
Yeah. So Cinery Winery NYC, CeeLo smells so good. I want to know what cologne he likes to wear.
I smell good right now too.
Is that Shani running the camera?
Yes.
Hi, Shani.
You coming over?
Oh, she's coming over to say hello. Hey, dear, how are you?
Good, how are you? I don't know what center is.
No, it's okay. I'm not really centered that well. I'm doing good. You look fantastic. Look at what a beautiful couple.
Thank you. I'm very relaxed. I just got them steaming, so yeah.
Oh, so you guys have steaming rooms and meditation rooms. I know you got a hot tub in there. You have a hot tub.
Yeah.
So while I got both of you, go ahead.
Well, let me answer the question. You're not supposed to ask what a person is wearing. It's even worse when you know exactly what they're wearing. So just to answer that question, there is no real answer. I may concoct a few different things that complement each other, and it will become my own unique essence and aura. Yeah. So I honestly don't know what I was wearing.
He's like a mixologist with his colognes.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of people are like that. While I've got you, both of you, why was there any apprehension? Because both of you obviously were on Marriage Bootcamp. Was there any apprehension whatsoever about this? Should we really be doing this? Do we want to really let people into our business? I mean, what was there like talks off camera that, I mean, why would you ultimately decide how to do that? Because it's got to take a lot out of you.
All the way up to the very last minute.
To the door.
All the way up to the very last minute when we pulled up to the front door.
They didn't show that footage. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. You can hear him out here too.
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't see that footage, but literally in the car driving up to, and I think I'm looking over here. Literally driving up to the house, we were just like, okay, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to do this? We can still leave. We're not in the house yet. But I think for us, it was really like a no-brainer. We've been together. We're going on 9 years in September, and we just felt like we have a really, really, really good thing. And if it is as good as we knew it to be, then we just couldn't understand why we kept having these little hurdles to jump over. So that really was for us first, and then we really figured out that we were helping people, and we were helping people in the house as well. So we have no regrets about that, and we're really, really, really happy that we did it. We still stay in contact with everybody, with Dr. Ish, with Judge Toller, with the producers, with everybody in the house. And we still use a lot of the things that we learned on the show. You know, I mean, they give you some real true keys to your relationship to start unlocking some doors that you start locking when you get divorced. And we're both divorcees, and you know, as grateful as we were to have our previous marriages, you know, we're even more grateful for each other being able to not repeat the same things that we did in the previous relationship. So that really helped us to do that, you know.
And sometimes that mediation has to come about by way of a unbiased third party.
Yeah. It's been good, you know, just being able to refer back to what we learned there. And some of the things that, you know, we were taught by Dr. Ish and Judge Toller and by some of the castmates. Like we thought we were going on like a reality television show, but it was real. It was more like us doing a retreat with 4 other couples with a therapist in the house. That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, I don't know that there's necessarily any winners out of Marriage Bootcamp. I think they fix a lot of or they help you to repair a lot of things in your marriage, and then they get you to that point, and then they cut you loose. But if there is any winners in Marriage Bootcamp,
because it's not about competition. It's about camaraderie, if anything.
I was going to say if there is any,
well, at least for our
it was, and nobody was competing with each other in the house. I think if anything, it was really just about trying to work on yourself. You know, they call it Marriage Bootcamp, but you realize that there are things that you have to work on with self before you can work on with someone else. So, you know, Marriage Bootcamp is the title, but you end up working on yourself more than anything, and then you end up learning how to work with others too.
Yeah, I think one of the things that show does that kind of cheats people out of, they want to televise the drama of the show when reality is the best parts of it are the workshops and the things that you guys have to do with yourselves, and that's the things that people, that's the ultimate takeaway, but that's not really what you get with that particular series. They want to focus on the drama and all the activity and
Yeah.
whatnot. But
But we were, I'm sorry, honey. I was just gonna say that I'm gonna step away. We were the first, and I would say, I believe only at this point, cast of people that were brought into that house that said that's not what we're gonna do. It's not that it didn't happen early on, but after that, it just started being real. It was real, what the drama was pretty much put to the side for us to be able to get to a better good on the other side of it all. We figured out very quickly in the beginning that we were going to have a really rough time if it was just about throwing chairs across the house and arguing and yelling. That didn't solve anything. We really, wanted to help each other. So we started being accountability partners and saying, hey, don't do that. Let's not do that. Let's actually be a better example, of couples within hip hop, of couples who are of color, of couples who are younger, who are older, who have been through adversities. Like, we wanted to really make a difference, and we really did want to be a different example for people, and hopefully we did that.
Well, I think you guys did fantastically well, and obviously your marriage is evidence of that, and you guys are phenomenal. What a beautiful couple. Thank you, Shani, for stepping in.
Nice
That's
to meet
awesome.
you, Christopher.
It's nice to meet you too, dear. So,
all right, now get out of here, woman, and get in the kitchen and make my dinner.
Yeah, right.
Make my supper.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Jokes.
Yeah, we know. There was some questions that the people had over here that I wanted to make sure we got to. I think I got to scroll up. There was a couple. Peter Williams, his question was, what advice would you give to the next generation to be a true artist?
Man, my first advice and most effective advice is to refer back, because the first ingredient to being great or an attempt at greatness is to have great taste. So you have to be able to identify what's been greater, what has been great prior and before you come. You know what I'm saying? So therefore I always say, go back, now your audience, they know what your affinity is for Prince, and now they've been introduced to mine. So we just continue to use him as an example, a beacon of light. You know what I mean? Like, his discography is so vast, it's so varied, it's so dynamic. It just runs the gamut. You know what I mean? Like, from one end of the spectrum to another. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you need a barometer to gauge by, use true greatness. You know what I mean? Like, to be your measuring stick. You know what I mean? But you got to know that Prince is great. Don't be thrown off by what you don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Or what you're unfamiliar with. Go and get familiar. Because in my opinion, true art isn't meant to be understood. You know what I mean? Like, and it most certainly isn't meant to be mass produced. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it is those who are quaint and who are quintessential. You know what I mean? Like, who truly do embody what we would consider or what would qualify as great. You know what I mean? Like, the true one-of-one, genuine articles, the individual. You know what I mean? Like, the glory of the individual artist. You know what I mean? We've got to reflect and refer back to that, because they don't make them like that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, correct.
And so go back and be an appreciator. You know what I mean? The reason why I can slip so seamlessly into one space or another is because of a deep sense of appreciation and gratitude. You know what I mean? I consider these things to be ancestral. You know what I mean? Like an inheritance. This is my lineage. This is my descendant tree. You know what I mean? Like, I am a child in the presence of those who have come before me. You You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you could go into it with that kind of humility, please don't fool yourself in thinking that you're doing something for the first time, because that's probably not
Incorrect.
true. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So definitely go back, man. I don't know how you got to find it. If you Google Prince and then, or YouTube Prince, then all of the sidebar other items, just wander off. You know what I'm saying? Just wander off and find and discover music like we did, you know what I mean? In our day. I'm not going to say the old days. I'm going to say our day. Like I used to go to
old days.
I used to go to Tower Records.
Oh yeah. Turtles.
What do you know about turtles?
I know turtles.
Oh yeah, turtles, man. But look, so I used to go in there and get lost in there. It was like an excursion. It was like social studies. You know what I mean? It was like a project. You know what I mean? A case study of creativity. You know what I mean? Like, so I got into cover art and song titles, and so I was more attracted to song titles that were a little bewildering to me. Like, I would much rather Led Zeppelin's Misty Mountain Hop. I'm like, ooh, I mean, what could that be about? As opposed to a song Chilling in the Hood. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I know exactly what that's about. You know what I'm saying?
Or Jimi Hendrix 1983, A Mermaid I Should Turn to Be. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I mean, like, we all live in a yellow submarine. I'm like, what is that about? You know what I mean? But like, but that's what's dope about art, man. It doesn't have to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are not bound by reality. You know what I mean? Like, you don't always have to be bound to become a product of your environment when you can in turn become a product of your imagination. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dare, man. Dare. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I've done so much. I mean, like, I'm like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean? I'm just playing with toys. And I mean, like, like, there's such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, like in wax and CDs and cassettes. There's so much music to be moved by, to be motivated by.
It's so much.
It's so much.
Which seems like this is a great question to kind of feed into that. My good buddy Lenny asks, who would be in CeeLo's ultimate dream group of all time? I guess we could probably go living or dead. Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
Who's going to be your guitars? I've already heard you mention Hendrix a couple times. I'm assuming that you would want to sing.
I would have to be in the group?
Well, it's up to you. You can have two singers.
I can only be a roadie.
Okay. Say you're a roadie. What's your ultimate group?
Okay. Let me think just a little bit.
You got it. We'll start with guitar.
Guitar. Damn, you gotta have either rhythm or lead guitar.
You can have both.
Damn, I guess Prince is the best. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
I would say Prince. On guitar, lead and rhythm.
And drums and bass and
everything. I would say, either Jim Morrison.
Really?
Either Jim Morrison. It's a toss up between Jim Morrison, Bruce Dickinson, or Dio.
What? I wasn't expecting that from you at all. I did not see that coming.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, you remember we come from a time before rap music even existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. That's right.
I mean, I was looking at, Def Leppard, Photograph, and Rock of Ages, and Mötley Crüe. She got the looks that kill, and
yeah. I just wasn't expecting to hear you do Ronnie James Dio. I was not. That was.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming.
Don't you realize?
or Iron Maiden.
he can sing so beautifully. You know what I mean? But like I like I like power. You know what I mean? Like there's a dark power and mystique about rock. You know what I mean? Like so, I was into the imagery because I was one of those black goth kids. You know what I mean? Like I've had some dark times in my childhood to where just like any kid, you know what I mean, you kind of seek solace, in that space.
Right.
So I went for that.
Did you ever perform that style of music? Just I know there's a side note. Did you ever perform that style of music? I would love to hear your voice doing something metal like that. That'd be amazing.
Oh, I could. I'm going to just start trying stuff again, man. Like especially with the success I'm having with this album, I'm hoping that people now start to, again, as we mentioned earlier, to expect me just kind of coming out of left field. Like I might do anything. I will literally do anything I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I can do it. I can do it all because I'm a genuine appreciator. You know what I mean? And you can pop quiz me, and I know the history. You know what I mean? So,
I won't do that to you.
You want me to trump me on that? Okay. So let me say.
Bass guitar.
Say, Little Richard on
keys.
Piano.
Yeah.
On keys. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's on bass? Oh, that's a hard one. There are so many great bass players out there. Well, where you even start?
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
I mean, I could go Bootsy Collins or I could go Les Claypool.
Right. There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a good addition. All right. So all we got left is drums.
Drums. Who? I can't say Sheila because Sheila is our friend. She said Sheila, go for Sheila. But Sheila, she does play. She plays
Percussion.
Percussion, right? Okay, but no. Let me see.
But she's an amazing drummer. I mean, she was Prince's drummer on a couple tours, so she can handle it fine.
I saw that Sign of the Times tour. So much of that footage came out after his untimely passing. A lot of that stuff I had never seen. So I was just like, wow. But okay. So for drums, I could go John Bonham.
I guess the hammer.
Neil Peart.
Rest in peace. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
That's a hell of a band, isn't it?
That's a hell of a band, Lenny. I think we got you there. That's a hell of a band for sure. Oh well, who's singing? You're singing, or who's singing? I don't think we talked about that.
Man. I'm giving that to Jim Morrison. It's a tough.
Oh, that's right. You said Jim.
Pick between Jim or Dio or Bruce Dickinson.
All right. Okay. We got a question here about Prince from Mailing Stone Pool, the Little Red Corvette herself. Do you have a funny Prince story?
I just told this story the other day. One time he would do these after Grammy parties, and this was the year that the Dixie Chicks beat us out for Song of the Year for Crazy.
Right.
And so we were sitting in the audience.
That stings. That's got to sting.
Oh, yeah. We were sitting in the audience, and as usual, somebody would tap my shoulder. Prince wishes to join us afterwards. Blah, 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 blah. We'll contact you. So we ended up going over, and we ended up damn near staying all night. And a bunch of people were there. Dave Chappelle, Maxwell, you name it. I mean, like a few people were there. So he had a big book of songs. So you can hear music coming from downstairs. And so I made my way down to be respectful, and because I sat up there for a while just talking to Dave and some other people. So I made my way downstairs, and it seems as if I cut the corner, and the crowd parted, and there was a path directly to Prince. I'm telling you, man, it was impeccable. You know what I mean? It was the. So
I know how he does that. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So I went over to him, and he said, "Pick a song." And so this big giant book It looked like the instructions on how to build a spacecraft. Like it was huge, but every song you can think of. So
Yeah.
I picked Superstition. I
Yes.
sang Superstition. He was on bass. Then he got off bass, and then when he got on the drums, then he went and mixed the vocal. So But anyway, to make a long story short, after a while he'll disappear. And we were just kind of down there by ourselves, and it really started to thin out maybe around 6 or 7 in the morning. And we partied all night and had a hell of a time. And do you remember those little Cadillacs? They look like Batmobiles, like a two-door Cadillac.
Yeah.
Right, so he had a black one of those. He had a black Cadillac. So we were leaving out around 7 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And my friend said to me, he said, "Yo, did y'all see Prince? He just got in the Cadillac back there." It was like, "Nah, we didn't see him." So we were walking up the driveway, and next thing you know, he takes off and pew! I mean, he almost runs us over. It was awesome though. Like I mean, so I don't know what that meant. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Why he took off like that early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? When we hadn't seen him for hours, that means he was somewhere watching us, dude. Like, right? So, and that was it. But I think the whole point of it is, for us to be sitting here talking about it today, just something completely unexplainable, just folklore and a tall tale. It's kind of like what Bill Murray was doing for a little while. Kind of, did you see that? Where
it's kind of just going wild, just going wherever and doing whatever.
Yeah, it was something I saw about where he was like at a Bartles and Nobles or something. Somebody may go to the restroom and leave their laptop at a table, and he's like, he might type on it, "This is Bill Murray." I mean, tell whoever you want. Nobody's ever going to believe you. So, something like that. So
right. He had this the way about him. Question though, if he would have ran over your foot and like broke your toe or something, would you have sued him? Or would you have said, "No, I just got run over"? Yep. Or you wouldn't have gone with the, "I'm not going to sue you, but you got to sign my cast."
We would have had to come to some kind of understanding. I'm like, wait a minute, I love you, big brother. Hold on, I can't.
Julie asks, what is the background on writing the amazing song Crazy? And did Prince explain why he loved that song so much?
Okay. The story behind Crazy, me and Danger Mouse had met, and I performed on a remix to a song on another project that he was working on, and we concluded that session by him asking could he play me a couple of things. So he played me a few open tracks, and I was like, wow, it really spoke to me. The controlled chaos. It was just sheer disturbia. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can relate to that. I mean, like, it speaks to me. It's making me feel some kind of way. I mean, so I felt drawn to it. And I said, hey, I want to use a couple of these tracks. And he said, well, I don't just make tracks. I make albums. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, let's make an album. So basically, years later, he was saying in an interview that he was really just bluffing me to see if I would go for it. And I did, you know what I mean? And it worked. But the backstory for Crazy was us just kind of sitting, going through some different tracks. And he played it kind of nonchalantly. So it just came on, boom, dum, dum, boom, dum. He only let a little bit of it play. And then he went to something. I said, wait a minute, what was that? What was that? He said, I only played that by mistake. I don't usually play that. You know what I mean? Because, I don't know. He said, I feel disconnected from it because somebody once tried to rhyme on it and it didn't work. So I'm jaded to play it. So I don't really, every time I play it, I'm reminded of the failed attempt at something. I said, no, that's great. I said, play that. So We had it on repeat for like 8 hours. We left, went and got lunch, did everything. It was just playing continuously for 8 hours. And we had a conversation about, were we crazy? Like to continue to insist on um, our own interpretive strengths, our own absurdity. You know what I mean? Like to be honest and to be ourselves, and you know what I mean? Like to be eccentric and peculiar, and were we willing to die? You know what I mean? Like in the name of or were we willing to commit to character like Iggy Pop or somebody like that? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
and I'm like, hell yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm down. So that's kind of where it came from, and that's where lines like "My heroes had the heart to lose their lives out on a limb," and all I remember is thinking I want to be like them. So I thought about you know, Iggy Pop, or I thought about Jim Morrison, what I mean, like those guys who were just so committed, like, those falling stars, just, they went into the ground with it. You kind of got to respect it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Untimely and prematurely, you know what I'm saying? Like in a grand regard, but like no less legendary. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
so that's pretty much the backstory of it.
And she also asked, the rest of the question was, why do you think it was that, or did Prince tell you why he liked it so much, or why he was drawn to it?
He told me he liked it, and I was going to say this earlier, but I didn't. He told me he liked it because it scared him.
How did it scare him?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what scares me about that song. I'll let you reflect on that a little bit. But when I heard that bass line, I think you performed it at the Grammys, I think. And I'm a vocalist myself. I'm a singer. And your voice just hits this range that is just unreal. So when I heard Crazy coming musically, I immediately looked at the TV because that song has got to be a unbelievable challenge if you're not in the right place vocally, because it is up there.
It's high. It's high. It's definitely. And I was, and I sung it very unassumingly and very nonchalant, because a lot of how I get to the good of it is when I don't take myself too seriously. You know what I mean? So, so basically, when we recorded it that day, I was like, okay, just once down. And I was like, all right, cool. That was cool. Let's try something else. What else you got? You know what I mean? If you go back and listen really closely to Saint Elsewhere, you'll hear me laughing.
Okay, wait. Sorry.
You'll hear me laughing at the end of a lot of those songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was really trying to get a rise out of Danger, who's really kind of calm and collected most of the time.
Right.
And, so I was like, I wonder how he's going to take this. Like, blah, 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 blah. So, so it's all out of a looseness. And then I may go back and refine some things. But no, Crazy is one of those songs that what you hear, I just sung it the one time, and that was it. I mean, and this new Dan Arbeck project too. I mean, CeeLo Green is Thomas Calloway. I sung those songs one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and that was another question I had in my list was, you pop up in a bunch of different places. I just heard the Sia To Whom It May Concern song. You've been on Big Boy's Intention albums last year. Is there any songs that you've sang on for other artists that has not come out yet that we can probably expect to see here in the near future?
I just did a song with Tyrese called Legendary, and you'll be hearing that pretty soon.
Nice.
And then sometimes people have stuff on me that I've forgotten that I did or something, and they just kind of been waiting for the right time.
I've been there before. Even when I do interviews and stuff, I'll have to re-listen to interviews that I've done, years ago. I was like, I don't even remember asking him that. It's just lots of stuff. Jill asked, what is your best takeaway that you got from your relationship with Prince?
Oh, well.
There's got to be.
I had already just kind of worn what I stole from Prince as a second skin. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely made me bold. He made me daring. He made me courageous. He made me brave. He made me fearless.
Right. He'll do
you know
that.
What I'm saying? And all of these qualities, they're very masculine. You know what I'm saying? Like, as described. But then he also showed me how to take some of the edge off, smooth out some of the curves. I mean, like, lilt. You know what I mean?
Vocal wise or just?
Yeah, vocal wise. You know what I mean? Because, like, a lot of people don't know. Like, you got a guy who's, want to wear Carhartt every day of his life, and he thinks that's, a statement of, uber masculinity. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? And they could never wear the outfits that Prince wore. But see, that was the point. You know what I mean? Like, he knew only he could do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the point in me wearing a wedding dress and any other crazy thing I decided to do. You know what I mean? Like, it is reveling in the individual account. You know what I'm saying?
Or dress in all gold and call yourself, what was it? Gnarly. What did you call yourself?
Davidson.
Gnarly Davidson. That's right.
That was so fun.
Was that inspired by did Prince kind of like say, yeah, just do it? Well, wear the meat dress. We're all gold.
I didn't ask. You know what I'm saying? Gnarly Davidson, I kind of did on a whim because
really?
I wanted to. I was at another point in my career at that time where I wanted to reinvent myself, and I said, I want to be like a villain or a superhero or something. I'm like, so how does that come about? You know what I mean? Like, something traumatic has to happen. So I just pulled from real life events, like, the Samsung phones were exploding at the time. So if you recall, there was a clip of a phone exploding with me, and people really thought that it was real, and it totally, people were terrified, thinking that I was hurt. And so that entire project, because of that leak, and me having to retract and backpedal and explain to people that it wasn't real, it took the wind out of the sails, and I did a full length project for that character, and so I wanted to go around. At some point when I didn't want to be CeeLo Green anymore, I'm like, okay, like, I'll be Gnarly Davidson, and I'll be him. I mean, so like when I went to the Grammys that year, I wasn't sanctioned to be there. I didn't have any passes or anything. I rolled my way into it. They almost locked me up. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, well, I knew immediately it was you, obviously, but it was just it was funny to see. I was like, oh my word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other question. I was trying to there was I was looking for somebody had mentioned something that reopened near you in Peachtree City or around where you are, and I was trying to find that comment. I don't remember. Anyways, we'll find it in a second. If you know who you are, you were mentioning someplace reopening back up, and so anyways, we'll find that. What was your first tattoo?
First tattoo was my name, CeeLo, on my right arm right here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then I started going crazy.
There was Stacy. She said Bankhead Seafood.
Oh, that's from the old neighborhood.
Yeah, he's out of Peachtree City now.
Yeah, Killer Mike and T.I. Purchased and refurbished that property. It was definitely a landmark, when we were growing up. Go over there on Sundays and get a fish dish and cool stuff like that. So I definitely got to pull up on him and see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah, I see a couple people here that are asking about what is your favorite Prince album or song. I know song is way too difficult. Album is even kind of tricky too, but a lot of people gravitate towards one or the other. What's your favorite?
Under the Cherry Moon.
Really?
No. No, but I'm sorry. The name
Parade.
of the album is Parade.
Yeah. Last question. What scares you?
What scares me?
Yeah.
Not being obedient to the intuition that extends from and connects me to the creator and the universe. That scares me. That scares me to not be pleasing in the sight of my maker.
Making sure that you're on the right path and you're making the right decisions.
That's right.
Well, you got a meditation room, so you definitely got a one-way channel to listening.
Oh.
CeeLo, thank you so much for hanging out, brother. I appreciate it. Shani, thank you for your patience, dear. I know you guys spent some time hanging out.
Yeah, it's okay. He started this morning at 9, so he's been doing all day.
Everybody get to CeeLoGreen.com, get that album, listen to it on Spotify, check it out. It's a great, great album. CeeLo, thanks for hanging out, brother. Good night.
Thanks, man.
Shani, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
What up, y'all? This is CeeLo Green, and welcome to Funkatopia.